And the first is the resident workshop. When we first, well, before we moved in, while we were living in our house, I had a workshop in the backyard and built and did all kinds of things. And I thought, well, I'm gotten old and we're moving into John Knox and I'll be done. And I remember when I came to look at John Knox, I said, what I'm going to miss most is my workshop. And I remember they said, well, let's go look at the John Knox workshop for residents. And it was unbelievable because it was a better workshop here than what I had at home. And so that was the first thing that was very, very good for me. I think basically the second thing I'm grateful for is the quality of the facilities where we live, both in the villas when we lived there and after we moved here into Heritage Tower. It's the most, to me, the most beautiful and the most comfortable and the most amazing place that I ever could live. And I think the other thing I'm grateful for, the third thing, is the way the administration listens to our feelings and our wishes, the care, the support that we receive when we have a need, the warmth of the staff here at John Knox. It's amazing how many staff members will say hello. Even the men working in the grass, you'll pass and they'll say, good morning, how are you? I think there's such an acceptance and an openness and a warmth here that it's so very comfortable for us to live in. And I think it's one of the greatest things for me. Quality and the amount of the printed publications that John Knox does for residents. And then I think the last thing is that I really have great respect for our leadership here, that I believe that John Knox, the leadership of John Knox does everything they can do to make our lives as rich, our lives as meaningful as they possibly can be.
Hi, I'm Tom McDowell. I'm not a legacy resident here at Heritage Tower, but my parents were, having moved here in 2003 when Heritage Tower was still called the Promised Land. That had more to do with getting a certificate of occupancy than anything else. But they moved in with the first group of residents in 2004. They passed away in 2014, and my wife Sue and I became Heritage residents in 2017. So I'm pleased to be here today to represent two families who've lived in Heritage Tower. JKV supports its residents in many, many ways, whether it's through volunteering or transportation or dining or participation. And then of course there's health care, which everybody comes here hoping they won't need to use, but sometimes do. In my parents' case, they lived here for 14 years, and except for AIDS in the final days of their lives, really never used the healthcare system. On the other hand, my wife and I moved in 2017, and within 2 years, it was necessary for her to move over to our skilled nursing facility in Seaside Cove. So needs change, and the beauty of John Knox Village is there's something for everyone in almost every circumstance. When you come to John Knox Village, you really never know what to expect, and you never know what life will bring. The beauty of this place is there are so many avenues to enjoy yourself and to live a full life. So I can't think of a better place to be.
How did I start thinking about a retirement community? Well, I practiced medicine for 30 years in a community where I grew up. And I was aware that anything can happen to people, and often does. Sally and I were living in Fort Lauderdale, had two neighbor ladies that we were very close to. One of them ended up having a stroke, the other had a fractured hip, and they elected to stay in their homes. And it was pitiful to watch them as really prisoners in their homes with people who could barely speak their language and didn't know how to prepare food that they would like to eat. These two things really convinced us to start looking. And one of our neighbors, who was an RN, had friends here at John Knox Village and suggested it was a good place to start looking. So we came over and liked it very much. It became apparent that this building was going up. Sally was delighted because she'd never actually had a brand new place to move into. And we picked the first floor because we could have a patio and a sunroom, and it's really been a wonderful place to live. I have made wonderful friends in this place. When we moved in 20 years ago, of course, we've lost a lot of them in the ensuing years, but it has really been brand new people moving in, sharing the same interests. I have found it to be a very rewarding thing.